Hardy fiber cement siding is proven to withstand water, pests, and fire better than wood-based siding. And it looks better while doing it. Hardy siding has been chosen for 10 million homes and counting. See the proof at jameshardy.com.
Hey, it's Faith, and welcome to Popping the Tab, the show where I crack open all of life's juicy little details.
Hello, and welcome to Popping the Tab. I'm very excited for today's episode because we have our very first guest, my friend and sorority sister, Kiara.
Hi, everyone.
Kiara and I are both sisters of Alpha Delta Pi, and our school goes through a process called deferred recruitment. Kiara, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, deferred recruitment is just formal recruitment, but in the spring semester.
Yeah, so instead of the big like Bama Rush TikTok happening in the summer, ours happens in the spring, but it's not as big. So thank you for that. By the time this episode airs, Kiara and I will literally have just started the formal recruitment process. So today we wanted to share some tips and tricks with you if you're interested in sorority recruitment. So grab a bev. I'm drinking a nice lemonade from Chick-fil-A. Kiara, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a strawberry kiwi Propel.
Ooh, I love those. All right, now let's get into the episode. Recruitment can be stressful and nerve-wracking, but it's important to stay focused in order to know where and with who you feel most comfortable.
Exactly. You're not going to be happy unless you feel at home where you end up and the group of girls that you're with. And we hope these tips help with your decision.
All right, let's take a little quick break before we get into our advice. Welcome back. Our first tip for the recruitment process is to be yourself. It can be easy to feel the need to act or dress a certain way, but honestly, you really don't need to.
The truth is that we want to get to know you for you. That means we want to see your style, humor, and most importantly, we want to get to know your values. You need to find a place where you can be your genuine self, and if you feel like you need to change, then it might not be the place for you.
That's so true. You definitely need to prioritize sororities that make you feel safe showing your true colors. You're not going to have a fun time and you're not going to want to pay the dues that it costs to be in a sorority if you feel out of place. Kiara, what's our next tip?
So our next tip is to keep an open mind. You're going to hear a lot of assumptions and stereotypes about different chapters on campus and overall just sororities in general. But you should take these with a grain of salt. I know when I was first thinking about joining sorority, I thought it was just a bunch of girls just dressing up on the weekends, but that is totally not what it's all about.
And you may have a rush crush early on, or your friends may want to join a certain chapter, but you might feel most at home with a different sorority, and that's completely okay. Recruitment is all about getting to know people and finding the best place for you.
I definitely had to shut all other opinions out, and I definitely had other friends that went in other sororities, and that's okay. We are still great friends. Just because you and your friends go different directions doesn't mean you still can't be friends.
Yeah, and Kiara and I went through different recruitment styles, and I want to talk about that for a second. I went through formal recruitment, and Kiara went through continuous open recruitment. So, Kiara, do you think seeing a formal recruitment but going through continuous open recruitment, do you think there was any differences between kind of the assumptions people were making about sororities during that time for you?
Absolutely. I feel like the fall recruitment, especially at smaller schools, is just so much more chill, whereas spring recruitment gets pretty competitive and there's a lot of pressure just not just on the girls going through, but the girls recruiting because, everybody wants to get the numbers to have good chapters and, make everybody happy. So there's definitely a lot of pressure in that aspect.
Definitely. And going through formal recruitment, it definitely was a lot more, I don't want to say draining because it was a really fun experience, but it definitely was felt more a little high stakes than continuous open recruitment, at least for me, just because it is that like set week of dedicated days. So that it definitely made it a little more stressful, but it was still a really fun experience. Our next tip is to find the place that feels the most like family. Come prep night, you're going to be faced with a rough decision, both if you're a member of the sorority or a potential member of a sorority, but you need to trust your gut and follow your heart.
Our sisters are truly my family and people who I can feel at home with. Every time we're in the suite, we're laughing, getting along, and I just feel like I can be my true, genuine self. And I feel like these girls have also helped me figure out who I am as a person, not just finding my place as a family, but I just feel like I've grown so much as a person with these girls. And I feel like I definitely found my home with the sorority that I'm in.
No, absolutely. When I went through recruitment, I wanted to find girls I could count on and who I could see being my future bridesmaids. And I think I definitely found that with our sisters. And I feel like everyone feels that when they find their home. Especially, I don't think I could grow as much as a person as I've grown in our sorority if I was in a different place, just because this has been such a home for me. And I think that any sorority, Kiara's getting emotional. I think
It's so
that any
cute.
sorority girl would think the same thing, though, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy that you found that. And my hope, especially going through recruitment, is just that every girl is able to find their home wherever that may be. And our last tip might be the most important is to have fun. The entire process can be so stressful. You put a lot of pressure on yourself to find the right place. And I don't know about you, but I'm just such a people pleaser that it's hard. I want to make everybody happy and especially at our college, there's these four great sororities and everybody's just so awesome. So it's just important to just have fun, go where you feel the most comfortable, and you only get one time to go through primary recruitment. So it's just important to take it all in and just have as much fun as possible.
100%. There are so many late nights and just months of planning that go into making sure recruitment goes as smoothly as possible. And if you're a PNM, which is a potential new member, which is a girl going through recruitment, you may feel like us on the other side, like we have it so much easier than you. But when I tell you that genuine tears are shed and just we are feeling the same stress, we're just as anxious to meet you as you are to meet us. And like you said, Kiara, at our school, if you know us and you're listening to this, like I've said it a million times, and I'm sure you agree, Kiara, that any girl who joins any of those four chapters they're gonna be so blessed with like the most amazing sisters
Absolutely.
in those four chapters. But you just need to remember to breathe and have fun. Like you said, you're only gonna have the option to go through it once if you find your home. I mean, obviously, if you choose to pull out for whatever reason, you can always go through it again. But hopefully, you find your home the first time around. That's the goal. And we're just going to take another quick little break before we wrap up this episode. Welcome back, everyone. Kiara, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so much fun.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And everyone listening, I hope our tips help to make recruitment a little bit easier as you hopefully go through the process. Even if you were just interested about learning more about sororities, I hope this helped a little bit, give you a little piece of advice.
And before we wrap up with this, is there any last minute advice that you want to share with the listeners that you don't think we covered?
I think just one last tip is that as someone who's really anxious, just remember that we are just as anxious to meet you as you are to meet us. And we are, last minute before you walk through the door, we're like, okay, does our hair look okay? Does our makeup look okay? What are we going to say? What are we going to talk about? We're thinking about the same exact things that you are. So just remember to have fun, and that we're in the same boat that you are, and we're just so excited to meet you.
No, for sure. And during that recruitment week, please, please, please don't forget to eat and get some good sleep and stay hydrated. Coming from someone who did not prioritize any of those things, it's going to make your life so much easier and make you feel better overall. So I also hope our tips help make recruitment easier for the listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Popping the Tab. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend or leave a review. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're going through recruitment, you can reach out to me on poppingthetab_pod on Instagram or drop a comment on the episode. Until next time, keep living, thriving, and being your best selves.
Cheers.
Cheers.